Ladies and gentlemen, we are seeing massive military movements at the moment, not just in Europe, but now all around the world. So in today's live stream, I want to bring this all together for you because, as usual, I kind of notice all of these patterns and I kind of start collecting them together in my in my brain, as it were. And this is one thing I noticed today with the sheer amount of exercises and military operations that are taking place at the moment. So I wanted to bring all of this together for you. Some of the stories will be from today, others will be from a couple of days, and then we'll talk as well about the drones from last week. So let's start off with the first news that's just come out today, and that is that Japan has actually deployed fighter jets to NATO bases. And this is very interesting because this is the first time that this has taken place. And when you start to see everything going on, you're going to say, wow, okay, Neil, I see why you've got some concerns at the moment. So Japan then is deploying, let's see how many they're deploying, 8 aircraft, including 4 F-15 fighter jets to bases in the US, Canada, and predominantly Europe here. This is almost unprecedented. We've never heard of this to support NATO. So this mission is called Atlantic Eagles, and I want you to remember all of these because we're going to probably mention 10 of these different names, which is very rare. You don't see this many going on at once. This is the first time in history that Japanese warplanes have deployed to Canada and Europe. So there's going to be 180 personnel taking place in this from bases across Japan. And this is part of a diplomatic mission with NATO that they've established this year. And this is going to be, and this is fact, this is going to be, according to this here, to aid European allies against Russian aggression is what they are calling it. So that now I was thinking about this and I said, why exactly are they jumping on the bandwagon here with all of this? And I think it's probably because if you look at the alliances, and they're very quickly drawing the lines now. They're very clear to see, even though there's some people still say, oh, we don't know who's going to ally with who yet. I think we do. I think it's very, very clear now. We're seeing all of it. I mean, we covered it a week or two ago, the massive Russian North Korean, Chinese exercises where they unveiled some very advanced weaponry and showcased a lot of things. We just had the exercise as well. The exercise is just about finished now on the border region, Lithuania sort of border region. And I never thought of this before, but I went on and I started translating some of the stuff. And the first thing I started with was the exercise name itself. And the exercise name is to head west. So you're like, well, what is this about? What is this a defensive exercise? Because it all looks combative. It didn't look like defensive to me. It was all from both sides. I'm not just saying from one side here, but both sides. It was they were practicing attacking. There was some defensive stuff, but it was mainly attacking stuff. And the Russian exercise was called to go west, in effect. So I think that tells us a couple of interesting things there. Although, let's just get this out there. It is an exercise, meaning it's preparations for something that may or may not happen in the future. I'm not sitting here saying Russia's planning to go west and attack Europe. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just giving you the facts that we're seeing here. Now, the other one I wanted to talk about was, okay, this was another big one. This was Keir Starmer. He's announced that UK jets are going to be flying around Poland now. They're going to defend the Polish skies. And this is all after the Russian drones went into Poland. Now, I thought that was quite interesting how they shot those drones down. We've also seen another one with Romania as well. I think that was 2 days ago. But I thought that was very interesting that NATO has got all this very advanced weaponry. They've got all these fighter jets and warplanes and everything else. And then Russia is deploying these Shahad drones, which are in effect the Iranian drones that now Russia's buying and adapting and other things like that. What I find really interesting about this is that we don't seem to have en masse this technology, this weaponry that can shoot down the drones like quite easily. And yeah, I don't know myself what that would look like, but I was thinking something like, surely there must be cheaper ways than firing these missiles that cost 100,000 for a missile, right? Surely there's better ways to take out a drone that doesn't cost a lot. You know, I was clay pigeon shooting recently. And you think of a clay when it fires. If you've never done it, you have a disc, it's made of clay, it fires and you fire your shotgun. And the shotgun sends out lots of little pellets, and the idea is you don't need to be a marksman, you just need to be a pretty good shot, and if one or two of those pellets hits your clay, it will break. So that's the concept behind it. And I was thinking, why haven't we designed something like that at this point? Wouldn't that make more sense to do something? And again, I haven't thought through this practically, of course, but wouldn't that make more sense to have something that would just be very low cost? It could be easy to sort of fire these things off en masse to take out drones. Why are we firing off these missiles that are designed for either air-to-air or, well, they'll predominantly be air-to-air missiles. These things cost a fortune, and they're going to run out really fast. You think how the war's changed between Russia and Ukraine at the minute, and you see it's gone to drone warfare. And I'll talk about another point at the end of this as well, which is these drone tanks that are being developed as well now. And you just think, surely, yes, you need this advanced equipment, but surely they should be creating all of this en masse, this other equipment that's low cost, and it's protection against drones. I mean, drop in the comments what you think, but I'm just a logical guy, right? I'm not a weapons manufacturer. I have no experience in it. I'm just a logical guy thinking through these things, and they're talking about how much it cost to shoot down these drones, and Poland and some of the other NATO countries. You know, it was millions to shoot down 3 drones. That is not sustainable. If there was actually a conflict, which there isn't, but if there was a conflict between Poland and some of the other countries and Russia themselves, the first thing I would do if I was Russia would just send in loads of drones, burn through all of the advanced missiles and everything else. I mean, I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Gosh, we're 8 minutes in. I've hardly even started. So, yeah, this is what Keir Starmer is now announced then. He's going to be sending these drones, and they're going to be sending these fighter jets to fly and protect Poland's airspace then. Now he did put out a statement. We'll read through the statement, but it's not just the UK, it's also Denmark, France, Germany are going to be patrolling the airspace as well. Typhoons will operate out of RAF base in Lincolnshire here, but this is what Keir Starmer said. He said, these aircraft are not just a show of strength. They are vital in deterring aggression. That's like a ChatGPT giveaway right there. You know, when it says, these are not just X, they are Y, right? Whenever I see all these politicians making statements now, I'm like, I think ChatGPT wrote that. Securing NATO airspace and protecting our national security and that of our allies. He added, Russia's reckless behaviour is a direct threat to European security and a violation of international law, which is why the UK will support NATO's effort to bolster its eastern flank through the Eastern Sentry. Now, that's another one. So we're going to keep going through them, but there's this new exercise as well, and there's a new operation. I think it's Eastern Sentry is the name of it, or something similar to that. So what I think probably happened there was this. You had these 2 or 3 drones that came through, and they were waiting. NATO was probably waiting, especially Starmer, Macron, and the usual. They were waiting for something to happen, whether it was intentional or accidental. I don't know with those drones, but they're probably waiting for something to happen. And actually, Russia responded and said that their navigation system went down and that the drones went into the airspace slightly. Again, you don't know. No one really knows what the truth is when it comes to warfare. But I think that's probably what they were waiting for, something like that, where they could then say, okay, now we need to deploy all of our military equipment there because this is another sign of moving things forward. And we've got so much to cover, wow. But I just want to know in the comments here what your thoughts are on everything going on, because from my perspective, it seems as though we are continually moving towards war. And I said a long time ago now, once Germany ruined its economy, which it has happened, you'll remember I said what I think they'll do is move into a more military economy. That's also now happened. They are moving towards this military industrial complex. And what happens when you go that way is you've got a lot of equipment, you've got a lot of weapons, you want to use it. And I think that's probably what we're seeing. They want to double their military. A lot of the NATO countries want to really expand. Huge amounts of money being spent on equipment. And here's the thing. The reason you're not really seeing much of a massive... You didn't see... Even though NATO wanted to have this big war, the reason you didn't really see that is because it's not just Russia. You've got to remember you've got North Korea, nuclear. You've got China as well. So, and Iran and some of the other sort of proxies. So that's why you didn't really see that. NATO would have won, I still think. Let me know if you disagree. I still think NATO would have won that war if it happened then. But I think they're just trying to build up. I think that's what we're seeing. And that's what worries me, is that it looks as though there's going to be this massive build-up, which is happening faster now than China and Russia. If you look at the build-up statistics, this is where you're seeing a bigger build-up. The difference is, I feel like China, Russia, and some of the others are building up with drones and some of the other lower cost things, whereas the West is spending huge amounts of money on advanced equipment. Which strategy is right? I'm not sure. Again, I'm not a weapons analyst here, but logically it says to me that seems quite a dangerous approach. And also, the other thing that goes through my head around that is you've got all this advanced equipment, like we alluded to. It can be taken out quite easily. But is there some sort of money laundering going on there? Is there all these politicians have been getting backed by weapons manufacturers to get into power, and now they have to, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. There's a lot going on here that's going through my head, but this is such a huge, complex situation now that's been going on for so many years. And that's what I think. And I've said a number of times, because some people will say, well, Neil, help me out here. What's the solution? I've said a number of times, I've sort of made preparations for myself. These aren't high-cost preparations, I haven't done a Mark Zuckerberg and built a nuclear bunker in New Zealand or anything like that. I just did a lot of research, and I said to myself, and this was before the days of ChatGPT, that would have made it so much easier, or Grok, or Perplexity, or the other AIs. But I just made a spreadsheet, as I normally do, and I started going through, well, who's allied with who? What countries could be drawn into the war? Where do we see these battle lines drawn before? And there's certain countries that I think are much lower risk. Islands are always the safest in war, always. They tend not to get involved, or there'll be prison internment camps and things like that, or there'll be, it might be air bases or something like that, right? So islands are always the safest bet. But then there's certain countries that don't tend to get involved, or if they do, they get involved later. So I as I've said many times, I have my backup plan. I have several countries, and you can get very low-cost residency visas there as well. So one residency visa I got cost me £350, was for Thailand, which, it was funny, when I went to Thailand, people would actually say in the comments, this isn't Bangkok or whatever that you're walking around. This is somewhere in China or something, because people still have this concept that it's a third world country, when in fact it's extremely advanced. Highly recommend taking a trip at some point to Asia just to see what is going on over there. It's mind-blowing versus what we've got going on in not all Western countries, but a lot of Western countries. It's just decay. I'm doing the city tours at the moment. I'm just back for a few days here in the studio, but I'm going to be filming a lot more of these cities to show you the urban decay we're seeing, which I still think can be turned around, even though we're sort of at the peak of this season, really. But I still think it can be turned around. It's just difficult to do it. You've got to have the right people in place. You've got to have the right economists. You've got to take all the corruption out and all the lobbying and everything else. And you can bring it back, but it's going to be difficult. It'll be a real challenge. A couple more things I wanted to talk about. Another thing as well, I'm highly diversified in my investments. And again, you don't need to have huge amounts of money here, okay? But I'm highly diversified. And one tip I gave you back in 2020, I think it was, which a lot of people didn't take, but I know some of you did, was when I saw the gold to silver ratio spike 120 to 1 or 125 to 1. I said, look, I don't give financial advice, but I'm going all in right now on silver. And a lot of people said, you don't know what you're talking, the usual stuff. And then silver doubled very quickly afterwards. So then I sold out, I played the ratio, etc. And this time around, we've seen the gold, and again, a few months ago, I said gold to silver ratio. I put it in the newsletter. Please make sure you're in the newsletter. I put it in the Patreon. So if you're in the private community, you would get that as well. I said gold to silver ratio is hit 100 to 1. Okay, you guys don't need to be experts in all of this. That's my job. I follow all the investments if not every day, every other day. And, I mentioned that. Well, you saw what's happened to silver. It's just been exploding recently. I still think it's got room to run on that as well. And I've been making that course as well, the gold to silver course, which a lot of you have taken now. Some of you haven't, but that's okay. Do what you think is right. It doesn't matter if you got $100 or you got $1 million, right? That program will teach you how to do it properly so that you can actually secure your money. Because you look at what happens when warfare hits. It's not good. It's not good at all. And you've got to be well diversified and make sure that your investments are accurate and correct. Again, you can look at the private community, the Patreon, where I've got spreadsheets and I've got all sorts in there that will help you with that, and stock picks. We do stock picks and all sorts. So just a quick one there. Let's carry on with everything here. And that's the course, by the way. I'll put the link below in the description for all three of these, because you've got the bundle of the foundational course and the mastery course, or the advanced course. But you can do the bundle. You can take both of them. You can take one course. But there is a pre-filming discount on that. And it should be finished, the whole course, by next week. So I think it's next week, or it might be the week after. The whole course will be finished that I've been working on for, 7 or 8 months now. So it will be finished by next week. So you can get a discount on it. It's still a 90% off coupon until that's finished filming. And then it will go up to the full price. So let's carry on now then. The link is below. So we know that a couple of days ago, Poland approved the deployment of NATO forces on its territory. And this was after the drones actually came in. So what did the president, the Polish president, have to say then? Well, he has approved the deployment of NATO forces as part of the alliance's response. Now, that was pretty obvious that he was looking for that opportunity anyway. Not because I think he's a warmonger. That's not the reason. But if you are Poland and you're on the border there, you're kind of in a very high-risk environment. Your geolocation is very high risk. So him sort of enacting Article 4 and allowing all the NATO troops into the country, Russia sees as an aggressive act. But you've got to look at it from the other perspective as well. You've got to look at it from Poland's perspective. Now they've got that sort of backup, that alliance there. So it's a catch-22, ladies and gents. There's no easy answer with a lot of this stuff. So here we go then, because I know some of you will say, well, that's aggressive. That's going to make Russia more angry and they might do this or that. But then if you don't do anything and things start escalating, you haven't got troops there, it can go the other way. So what did he say? He put out a statement and he said they've signed a resolution granting consent for the presence on the territory of Poland of foreign forces as part of Operation Eastern Sentry. So again, There's lots of these different operations going on at the moment. And this is to strengthen the alliance's eastern flank and prepare for incursions, it says. So does that mean, you've always got to look at the language as well, does that mean incursions from NATO, or does it mean incursions from these Russian drones? It doesn't quite say. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, of course, he is a warmonger. He loves it. He would send in the troops tomorrow if he was permitted to do so. And the alliance's supreme commander in Europe said that France has agreed to send 3 Rafale fighters as well. Germany's now sending 4 Eurofighters. Denmark is sending 2 F-16 and an anti-air warfare frigate. Netherlands said it's going to accelerate its deployments as well, including Patriot air defense systems to Poland. Czech Republic is sending a helicopter unit as well. They said that this is a very serious operation, probably one of the largest in NATO's history, and people should be prepared. I'm not exactly sure why people should be prepared, what that means. Drop in the comments if you have any idea. And it also covers, so there's about 10,000 US troops there as well now. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but Poland has around 10,000 US troops in location now. There's also Dutch F-35, German Patriot batteries. These have all been moved into position. And it was last sort of Tuesday, Wednesday, when these, actually it says 20 Russian drones entered the Polish airspace. I thought it was 2 or 3, but I was thinking of Romania. It was the 20 drones. And they actually scrambled jets and they took the drones out. But it cost millions of dollars. This is my point here. Millions of dollars to fire on these drones and take them out. It says this was the first time NATO has ever been forced to defend its own airspace in such a manner. And they said they'd trigger Article 4 and that they need to be careful because it almost triggered Article 5. I think that would be pushing it a little bit to trigger Article 5, but okay. They then said that Trump declared that the incursions could have been a mistake, and he spoke to Putin, and Putin said that this was a mistake, the navigation systems went down. But the NATO Europeans have all said that Trump is sort of implicit with Putin and all the other stuff. Who knows, ladies and gents? Drop a comment below what you think. The next one then, this was Romania. This was the 2 or 3. Here we go, actually it was 3. So we got to have it confirmed. 3 drones entered its airspace in Romania. And we also have a couple of notes here on Operation Eastern Sentry. This is in response to Article 4. And this is going to be in preparation for any potential Article 5. So this is the precursor to Article 5. Article 5 happens, pack your bags and get out. And that's why I was saying as well, if you can work remotely, I know a lot of you can't, which, it's a difficult one, but if you can work remotely, it is worth just planning for some of these things. Unless you want to be on the front lines or you want to be involved in the war in some regard, then, each to their own. I've been there, I've done that. It's... it's an adrenaline rush at the start, and then afterwards you're like, I just want to go home. Well, being honest here, a lot of soldiers watching will probably say the same thing. Yeah, I know what you're talking about there, Neil. It's good at first, and then you're just fed up of sand and bottled water that's hot bottled water every single day. So this was Operation Eastern Sentry then. The other one is you're going to see a lot of movement now. This is a lot of military jet exercises in the northeast in the UK. So there's absolutely loads. It's going on from now. It's just started through to the 3rd of October. So if you're in the northeast and you're seeing lots of fighter jets, it's because there's a massive exercise going on. This is the German Air Force, Italian Air Force, the Canadian Air Force, the British Royal Navy as well, the United States Air Force, and British Air Force, and the Draken Europe. I've never heard that term before. I'm gonna search that afterwards. And the Draken Europe Force. I don't know what that is. I'll check that out. So this is 90 fighter jets taking place in an exercise. Yeah, did you hear about this on the news? That's obvious what they're preparing for. Cobra Warrior, again, another one here, is a crucial opportunity for the UK and its partners to prepare, develop tactics, ensure readiness in air operations. So again, this was another big one that's just come out as well. Let's load this one up here. Britain to open huge £400 million military drone factories. We've got this huge drone factory that's about to be started. And this is 1,000 highly skilled jobs that are going to be created. But yeah, a lot of them for AI engineers. If you're you work in a basic job, it's not going to be a job for you. It's someone with AI engineering experience. But there's another huge one going on right now. This is the United States, South Korea, and Japan are conducting a trilateral air and naval exercise in East Asia. This is going on right now. This is to prepare for... It outlines, okay, Russia, China, and North Korea is to prepare for this. It's called Freedom Edge 2025. Again, I told you there's loads of these going on right now. Never seen so many exercises apart from, in peacetime, as it were. And it's being conducted on South Korea's southern Jeju Island, and it's aimed at countering the axis of evil, as they call it. But they're focused heavily on the North Korean nuclear missile threat, so this aspect. And I think there's some ballistic missile stuff as well from China that they want to. So China's upset because the US has deployed missile launchers so these are massive missile launchers within range to hit mainland China. So China's not happy about that. But yeah, we've got this. This took place last week. This was Zapad. Here it is. This was Zapad that took place last week.
Western frontier.
Huge exercise.
Lithuania.
Absolutely enormous exercise.
30,000 Russian and Belarusian soldiers are participating in Zapad 2025.
And they did a tactical nuclear weapons deployment as well. Massive deployment.
These exercises feature ballistic missile launches, simulated airstrikes, tactical drills, and special arms skills, showcasing the military capabilities of the participating countries.
And if you've had any doubt, well, guess who joined in with this? India actually joined these Russian-Belarus drills amid nuclear weapons launch rehearsal. So this is... it's just crazy to hear that. A few years ago, you would have never heard anything about a nuclear weapons missile, preparation or anything like that. You'd never heard any... Oh, hold on. Before we wrap up, I've got to tell you about this. So now... they're creating these next generation robot tanks. So they won't even have humans. They're just going to be these robot tanks now. It is crazy, ladies and gents. Let me know what you think in the comments with all of this. But I think it's crazy. And I think that you should prepare. If this was clickbait, I would have put that at the start. I would have put a big fire and, all sorts of troops and all that sort of stuff. I haven't. I would have opened with that. Prepare, there's going to be a big World War. That's why I'm putting it at the end of the video. If you're still here at the end of the video, thank you, because most people don't watch to the end. But I really think that you should prepare, at least think about what could happen based on where you are. Because it is a very, very real possibility that we are going to continue down this path. There is going to be war. I would say I'm fairly confident that we're going to see some sort of war or conflict. It's just going that way. It really is. So please prepare as best as possible. Do what you think is right for you. Again, I've got options, from free, you can join my newsletter, right the way through to the private community, inexpensive, through to taking some courses, mention the gold and silver course. There's a lot of different options for you, but just do something and prepare as best as possible. With that in mind, thank you so much for being a subscriber here. There we go. There's the button on screen. Take care. God bless you. God bless your families, and I'll see you on the next one.